Vale. ¿Cuántos minutos has dicho? Okay, and then Harry Potter and Twilight give you a place in Hollywood. Did you want to choose another roles to, I don't know, diversificate or to change, to not be always making the same?
I mean, I guess, I mean, you don't want to play the same part all the time. I don't think anyone wants to do the same thing every day. But I mean, I don't see it as like a conscious decision. I mean, I just feel like I do whatever interests me and whatever I think will interest an audience. And yeah, I mean, I hope I don't get locked down into a certain thing, but I don't really see that happening.
This film has a lot of classical elements. It's like a classical film indeed. Do you think young people would like this kind of films?
To what people, sorry?
Young people.
Oh, right.
I think it's...
Who said Indian people? I was like, I don't know.
young people. Maybe because you are in the film, young people would like.
Yeah, I mean, it's always interesting because it is. I mean, it has attracted an older audience in America, which I was quite surprised at. I thought it would be a young audience, but I mean, it's very. I think it's quite different to other things that are out. I mean, you can never really predict it. I think a lot of people, especially like, I think a lot of young kids really like it because it's basically like going to the circus, and I mean, it's kind of. I think they all appreciate that. But yeah, I think there's a genuine romance. There's kind of action elements to it and stuff. But yeah, I'm not really sure what young people like anymore.
That's true. Did you rewatch some classical films or some circus films to catch the atmosphere, or do you prefer to create from zero?
For the circus stuff, I really just read a lot of books, and I had a lot of books of photographs of the circus then, but in terms of movies, I didn't really watch any. I watched some Gary Cooper movies and some movies from the 30s, a couple of documentaries about the Depression, just for the way people moved and stuff. But I thought the way Sarah Groen wrote the book, it was pretty comprehensive about the world, how she wanted the world to be. So I could kind of rely on that, I think.
Mm-hmm. Why do you think circus is always so cinematographic?
I think it's because it's already designed to be a spectacle, and so like, I mean, to do it when we were shooting the movie, you could just watch it when it was happening live, and it looked amazing, and so you know it's kind of you just have to think of the best way to shoot it. But I think there's definitely an interesting thing in having so many different forms of entertainers all working together and living together as well. I think it's an exciting artistic environment. I think it's a lot of people's idea of a kind of perfect landscape for creativity. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You know, to create a vampire is your own work, but when you make Salvador Dali, that is very important here. How did you approach to this character in Little Ashes?
To
How
Dali,
did you make him?
That was one of the most. It was one of the first times I think maybe the only time I played a real person, and it was definitely one of the first times I really heavily researched a part. I hadn't, like before, I just kind of, you know, you just turn up and just figure it out on the day. But with Dali, I read so many biographies of him, and I read the letters between him and Lorca, and also I met a lot of people who knew him. I was shooting it in Barcelona and in Cadaqués, and I met a lot of his friends. But I don't know, I felt that the more I read about him, there was something I could really relate to him. I don't know why, and in the movie I don't necessarily know if I'm doing an impression. I'm not really trying to play Dali. I was trying to play something that I think that he would have liked. I mean, just I think anyway. But it was very. I love the experience of working on it. I think he's an amazing person, not necessarily just an artist. I think as a man he was incredibly interesting. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Now you are very famous. You are very young. Did you scare you at the beginning? Because I think you are used now.
Yeah, no, I mean, it still does sometimes, because you think that you don't know what. I mean, I've been working pretty much constantly since I got famous, so I don't really know what my life is. But you do have periods where you're like, you get a little worried about what your life actually is, because you can't, you know, because it suddenly changes and you can't do any of the things that you used to do, and so it gets a little worrying. But you do get used to it and you figure out. I mean, there's a period of adjustment, and yeah, then hopefully it kind of all settles down in a bit.
Mm-hmm.